up, Field G's? Welcome back to Lukegsfieldreview. I am so excited to be back. Got a little bit busier than I would have expected. Nonetheless, I am back. I do plan on dropping more videos and getting back into the swing of things. So again, for those who stay with me, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. As you can see, there is some breakdown going on here. And what we're doing today is we're going to examine the past top 10 tight ends selected. And the reason I wanted to do this is because I wanted to put so many things in perspective and, and dispel a lot of the false realities and negative things that are being said about the Detroit Lions because they selected this tight end. But on top of that, I wanted to show you the threshold and just how close he is to certain tight ends versus others. So let's get into it and let's get this thing popping. So right now, we're going to start off with our selection of TJ Hawkinson. And as you can see, he's right here out of Iowa. And he played only 2 seasons, 2017, 2018. We took him in 2019. The thing that I want you to focus on in this is the number of games played. He's played 23 games. Now, if you just look down a little bit, you'll see Rob Gronkowski, you'll see Eric Ebron. And the reason I'm showing you this is because Rob Gronkowski, who, yes, I know was selected in the 2nd round, their numbers are very similar. Both the guys played their freshman and sophomore year, came out in their junior season. Here's TJ, who played 23 games. Rob played 22. TJ got 73 receptions. Rob's got 75. Rob got 1,197 yards. TJ got 1,080. Rob averaged 16 yards per reception. He averaged 14.8. Rob had 16 touchdowns. TJ had 9. Now, somebody's going to look at this and go, look how many more touchdowns that Arizona had. And I'm going to ask you simply put, look at Rob Gronkowski and how big he is and ask yourself, who in that division in Arizona's conference was going to do anything with that anyway? TJ Hawkinson, granted, is going to probably have the argument of, well, he had no offense on his team, or they're going to say, well, he was playing the Big Ten. But, I mean, there's an argument to be made. Nonetheless, he got 16 total touchdowns, Rob Gronkowski does, compared to TJ Hawkinson's 10, so that he had 6 more touchdowns. But the thing that stood out to me was Rob Gronkowski probably should have easily been a first-round pick, but due to injury and immaturity, he was not. And when you look back on his career, you know that he had the talent. Now, here's where it gets interesting at, because when you look at this, I'm going to show you a pattern that they're not going to tell you. And what we're going to see is this, who or how close he is to it. As you can see, TJ Hawkinson is very close to the production of Rob Gronkowski. What I want you to look at now is TJ Hawkinson's production in terms of Eric Ebron's. Now, Eric Ebron played a total of 34 games. That's right, 34 games compared to the 23 games that TJ Hawkinson had. He had 112 receptions compared to the 73 Hawk had. He got 1,805 yards compared to the 1,080. He got 16.1 compared to 14.8. Now keep in mind, what I find interesting about this is all these numbers look like they should favor Eric Ebron until you realize he's played a 3rd season that TJ Hawkinson did not play. And then when you go through and you look at his most productive season, it's pretty much in line in terms of yards per average with TJ Hawkinson. But you may say, well, that's not a good thing. He's got 8 touchdowns. TJ Hawkinson has 9, so TJ Hawkinson has 1 more than him. But the things that I want you to keep in mind is so far, the only one comparable to TJ Hawkinson is a 2nd-round pick, Rob Gronkowski, who was kind of known as the guy who can block, run routes, get open, and all those good things. That was never the theme for Eric Ebron. In fact, the theme for Eric Ebron was he was supposed to be the next Jimmy Graham or explosive pass-catching tight end. And none of that ever came to fruition. In fact, when Eric Ebron came out of college, he was known as a guy who drops a lot of passes. That was never the case for TJ Hawkinson, who only had 2 drops in 2 seasons with the Iowa Hawkeyes. So if we scroll down and we compare him to other first-round talent, because I know that a lot of people say, well, they said that he just, they said the same thing about Brendan Pettigrew, that he's a blocking tight end. But if you watch the film never supported it. TJ Hawkinson has 9 touchdowns, so does Brendan Pettigrew. But Brendan Pettigrew played 4 seasons, have 112 yards, has played in 47 games, and I'm just still telling you, he still had a 12.9 yard average, which is TJ Hawkinson's already ahead of him. No telling what he get if he had, full-time duty, but they relegated him to do blocking, and he did that very well. When you compare him to Vernon Davis out of Maryland in his college career, he played 3 seasons in Maryland, but again, he still played more games than TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson played 23. Vernon Davis played 35. Hawk had 73 receptions. Vernon had 83. And I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, well, yeah, but he ran a 4.3. All valid points, people. You're not going to get me to argue on it. But the speed is not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at production. Here's a guy who, if Hawk got 10 more catches, ain't no telling where he can be at in terms of his overall stats. But they have the same amount of touchdowns. And the thing that I want you to look at is he was never taught it as being a blocker. Another guy who came out as another pass catching tight end. And that's what he was brought in here to do. He wasn't brought in to assist in the run game or in the pass game. He was just brought in to catch passes. We're going to look at people like Kellen Moore next, okay? And when looking at people like Kellen Moore, what you're going to see is again, he played more games than TJ Hawkinson, where he's played a total of 36. Hawkinson's played 23. But the thing that stood out to me is he had 119 receptions, and he only had an 11.5 yard average, and he still only had 9 touchdowns. Now, y'all may be wondering, why is that so important? Because all the guys who get the same amount of touchdowns as him is supposed to be faster, minus one Brendan Pettigrew. So Kellen Moore was supposed to be faster than TJ Hawkinson. Vernon Davis is supposed to be faster than TJ Hawkinson. So speed is not equating. So where does that leave us? Okay, that brings us down here to this point right here. Hawkinson has played 2 years. Grunt played 2 years. Eric Ebron played 3. Pettigrew played 4. Davis played 3. Winslow played 3. 3 seasons. And then you go and look at the games played. Look, 23 for Hawk, 22 for Grunt, 34 for Eric Ebron, 47 for Brendan Pettigrew, 35 for Vernon Davis, 36 for Winslow. But if you just look at these numbers right here, the things that I wanted you to look at was 73, 75. He's more comparable to Rob Gronkowski than people may want to let on. They just don't want to put that heat on him. But I think he'll be just fine. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to necessarily be the next Rob Gronkowski. I think he could be better. Yes, I said that. I think he can be better if given the opportunity, because he has a lot of the same skill sets. As you can see right here, all these other people who had more yards than him, they had well over 10 more receptions than TJ Hawkinson. And the crazy part about it is when you look at the laws of averages, in terms of it, 9 touchdowns. I mean, there are so many things that you look at here that stands out to me. Now, if you put all this into a vacuum and you look at their first seasons on their new teams, a lot of these tight ends that were selected, like Kellen Winslow Jr., how was he utilized? Was he asked to block? Was he asked to block in the passing game? He wasn't. Was he a nuanced route runner? No, he wasn't. When you look at people like Vernon Davis wasn't known as no route runner. He was fast. That's what he was. He was fast. Was he known as a blocker? No, he wasn't. Was he known as a complete tight end? No, he wasn't. When you look at Brendan Pettigrew, did they call him a complete tight end? Some people called him a complete tight end, but if they watched the film, they would have saw that he wasn't really that good of a blocker. And they also would have saw that his route running was horrible. In fact, that was one of the bad things that they said about him. But even still, he had to play 4 seasons to get his name up. And here's the thing that stood out to me the most. In his final season, he played in 10 games, had 42 receptions, 472 yards. That's an 11.2 yard average and no touchdowns. And it wasn't that he didn't get touchdowns because of this. It was because he had some of the similar problems that Eric Ebron had with dropping certain types of passes. So I just wanted to show you guys this to let you know that there's a difference in the player that we selected and why you should be excited for what we got. Because the guy that we got is closer to Rob Gronkowski than you think. That's it for now, ladies and gentlemen. Please hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. Again, I do apologize for taking so long, but I do work a 9 to 5 and have all types of other obligations, and that at times does hinder me from being able to make these videos. With that being said, I leave you with this great piece of advice. Don't be no chump. Please do your research.